Hi, everybody. I'm giving you an update on my health, wealth, and prosperity journey. I'm Nelson Del Pino. I'm your guide here through life. We go together, we walk together, we grow together. That's the plan. So let's get started. I just went to emergency last night um, at St. Joseph Memorial Hospital. It was for a urinary infection I had, so I had to get prescription medication. I couldn't urinate for like 24 hours, and so I decided to go see the doctor. But I was in and out. I didn't have to stay in a hospital. That was a big fear of mine, hospitals in general, because one day I went in thinking the same thing. I was just checking for what I thought was acid reflux condition and some swelling on my feet, and I ended up in the hospital for 6 months, and that wasn't fun. But once I got out of the hospital, I started to plan on regular checkups with my doctors and trying to make sure that I'm on top of my health condition, and that's very important. But the thing I've said in these videos is you're also responsible for your health. No one else can be your uh, ultimately responsible for you, but you have to learn how to be your own physician. Heal thyself. You have to be aware of things. That's how you grow. You don't grow when you just do what you're told. You grow when you do what you know to do what's right, and you do the right things for yourself and by yourself, and that's how you grow, and that's how you really know. So I didn't know what was going wrong or what I needed, but I knew I needed to go see the doctor. So I did that. I got home right away. Didn't end up being admitted to the hospital. Now I kind of know I'm more aware and more on top of my health condition. So, number one is get to know yourself. That includes your health, wealth, and prosperity prospects in your life. Understand the conditions in which you live, but also be hopeful and think beyond them to let God or whatever you believe be in charge of your life. Okay? So you're in charge of your life, but use whatever wisdom you have and learn how to cultivate that. So that's what my programs are about, my videos about. I'm a voice teacher. I teach private lessons, music instruction. I teach bass guitar, other instrumentation. I work with a producer many years ago. That's how I started. And then I started from being able to work with artists, signed artists, and developing artists into new artists, new up and coming artists, people who are just starting out, just learning music for the first time. I love that. I loved working with all different levels of music performance and creation. Anyway, here's my apartment. I got back to my apartment after 6 months. You can see I bought a desk here. There's a new desk here. I'm sitting at the desk, and then there's another desk I have over here. So I'm kind of set up my studio like an office. There's my bed. I had a hospital bed installed here so I could prop up my head, my feet, different things I need occasionally to feel comfortable and be able to take care of myself, help myself. Then I got a clothing rack up here. I bought that to just put stuff up here, clothing that I'm going to wear for the day. So I don't always have to go digging around in my closets for something to wear. I really want to live my life ruthlessly efficient, I call it, so I don't really have to search for things. Everything has its place, and everything has its time as well. You have to do things in a timely way, but it's always not in our control what the time or places are when shit happens. So we got to be ready. So here's my closet. I'm kind of trying to convert it into just a closet. Right now it's just storing a bunch of laundry bags I got to sort through because I had a bunch of laundry undone when I ended up in the hospital. And now a lot of the clothing doesn't fit me. I'm 165, 6 feet tall. I was like 180, between 180 200 when I first was admitted to the hospital. My weight was fluctuating because of my condition. And here I got my music room. Still haven't set it up. You can see I still have some of my stuff in boxes. And so some of this stuff has to go. There's my drum set. That's an electronic drum set. I'm setting it up. And anyway, this is my recording studio, my music producing studio. Most of my students right now I'm teaching online. I can teach in person. You can come here to my studio if you want to do a lesson with me. My lessons are $60 a lesson. I usually ask you to buy a minimum of 3, maybe 4 lessons in advance so that we can have a lesson plan and work from a plan. Okay, so I'm kind of showing you, giving you the grand tour today. And then here's my kitchen. You see my kitchen. I bought an ice machine right there. An ice machine. I like to have ice with something to drink, but because I'm always hydrating myself, having to drink water all day, but doing it very slowly, not guzzling big bunches of water or liquids. And then here's my toaster, new toaster I bought. It's kind of cool. My old toaster was fried. And then again, it's just organization. When I got back to my apartment, I didn't have any spoons, forks, pans. I had put them all in storage. And then I realized all my stuff was, pants weren't very good at all, weren't very functional. And so I just decided to throw them out and get new ones and get just a few, not so many junk. My aim here is just getting rid of junk. Anything I don't use, I want to lose. Okay? That's part of wealth. It's don't accumulate wealth. It's not being wealthy. It's just being wasteful, you know. Don't be wasteful. Learn how to utilize your wealth for your health and the betterment of your own condition or your own life. Number 3, prosperity. Prosperity is not something that's automatic either. Wealth accumulation is not wealth. It's not abundance. The Bible says, Christ said, I came to you may have life and have it more abundantly. But he wasn't talking about wealth accumulation. He's talking about abundance is the sheer growth of your life and the conditions in your life and your ability to manage those conditions to the point where you're able to manage yourself, control yourself. My music teacher used to say, he that's in control of himself is in control of his life, is in control of his wealth, whatever you want to call it. All begins with your own sense of self-control. Even obedience, if you believe in God and obedience to God, starts with your self-control. When you lack self-control, you can't be obedient to God, because God wants obedience to God means not to be indulgent in your own carnal needs, but to act on your true needs and your true wants, so that then God can help you overcome those things that you need to have more and better control of. All right? So self-knowledge, self-control, faith in God, they're not different things to me at all. God to me is just God, and your faith in God is not dependent on whether you believe in God or what you believe. But the Scripture says you must believe that God is. He that believes must believe that God is, and that he's a rewarder of them who diligently seek him. See? In other words, you have to activate your faith, activate your beliefs, take action, act on these things that you believe, and then that will be counted to you as faith. You see? So faith isn't just something intellectual, philosophical. It's something you actually have to perceive and see for yourself. You need to believe that these things are actual and that they are applicable to you. So, on this channel, this is the first of a sort of a new start I'm making here. I call it a new beginning. I made 4 previous videos just on called 4 lessons. They kind of cover some of the basics of what I'm sharing with you today and will be sharing from now on. So I piled a bunch of stuff in together, just heaped a bunch of comments in there, and I realized it's not organized in the sense that I'm just giving you these piecemeal kind of information. I'm kind of throwing everything out I can that's on my mind. I've used those, a lot of my videos have just been like a journal entry, a blog, okay? I'm just getting stuff out of my mind so I can kind of relax and kind of sit back and just meditate on things. As things come up for me, I believe meditation is the ability to take action as things arise. You're able to take appropriate actions. So to do that, you have to have your presence of mind. You can't get panicked. You can't overreact. You can't, all that basically interferes and gets in the way with your ability to act and be proactive in your own life. So having, emotional control and all of that's essential to your growth as well. And so I also go look at differences in people and differences in personalities. People have different, because people have different personalities, they also have different inclinations and different triggers, let's call it. So for example, when I get frustrated, my first inclination is just to get angry with myself or angry with the world. It doesn't matter. Anger has its uses, but sometimes it can also interfere with your objectivity. So when I'm angry but I'm reacting to something and not acting on something, it's then not useful. You have to, be angry as the Bible says, but hold your peace. Don't let the sun come down on your anger. Once you can hold your peace, then you know what actions to take that will heal or bring resolution to a given situation. So it takes a lot of patience when you are me. You have to not just not be angry, but you have to be patient with the situation to wait on the right solution and the right response that will bring about the desirable outcome. So I am an INFJ personality type. I believe there are 16 personality types. I have my own typing system. I call it my type method, which is an acronym for a targeted approach to enhance personality performance. I don't think you have to psychoanalyze yourself. You don't even have to analyze yourself at all to be able to know what actions to take and what's working and what is not. So that's why I call it a targeted approach. It's like the word for sin in the Bible means missing the mark. You're missing the mark. So that's all it means. It doesn't have any particular connotation or meaning beyond that you just missed. You just fucked up, all right? And we all are fuck-ups. We all make mistakes. We all miss the mark. So that means that if we're like a ship without a captain, we tend to be, at sea, we're kind of lost at sea when we're left to our own devices. And so we need some kind of a guiding star, guiding direction in our life to kind of take us in the direction we want to go. So the boat doesn't drive itself, the car doesn't drive itself. It needs some direction that it needs to be managed. And so you're the car and you're the driver, but you got to manage those things about yourself, your nature. And sometimes some things may go against your nature, your personality, but you learn to manage those things, and then that'll bring you to the light or to the place where you then can see your way clearly and know how to go where you want to go. And so INFJ means I'm an intuitive personality type. So there's basically two kinds of personalities, the intuitive and the sensory personality types. Now I'm wanting to put a book together, kind of an introductory book on the subject of personality typing, because I'm always doing this on my own naturally. I don't necessarily know what your type is. I don't try to, like I say, I don't psychoanalyze. I don't try to analyze at all. It's just a system that I came up with to help me learn how to harness the natural abilities that I have as an INFJ personality type. So intuition is my dominant trait as an INFJ. I'm an NI-DOM, it's called. The other types are where you have an NI auxiliary function. The first two functions is your dominant and your auxiliary functions. So you could be an NI-DOM, which INTJ, INFJs are NI-DOMs. Then you have an NI auxiliary. People that are auxiliary function is NI. Those would be your introverted intuitives who have intuition, but it's a tool function. So your auxiliary function is something that works in conjunction with your primary function. It's like a tool function. It's like you're left-handed, then your right hand is your tool function. You use your right arm to supplement or to help your left hand. Because you're left-handed, your left hand is your dominant hand. And then your right hand would be considered your supplemental or tool function, your hand that sort of, you use those functions in conjunction with your dominant function. So let me kind of go on just explaining my personality profile, my personality type, and then you can compare that with your own. I think the way to learn about your own personality is do what I call personality comparisons. Learn the basic 16 personality types and learn which personality type best fits you. That's how you find out really your own personality type. That's how you're able to identify that on your own. And writing a book to help you, assist you in that process, but ultimately you're the one who knows yourself, and you're the one who types yourself. And no one really can type you know you except you, all right? So my tool function is extroverted feelings. So if you're introverted in dominant function, then you're going to have an extroverted auxiliary function. So my auxiliary function is extroverted feeling. And so that works in conjunction, supplemental to my introverted intuition. Now, your dominant function, whatever that is called your identity function, because it's how you see yourself. That's what it describes. If you're a dominant NI, you see yourself. It's how you see yourself. But how you see yourself is not necessarily how other people perceive you. Often people perceive you by your auxiliary function. Your auxiliary function describes how you come across to other people. So INFJs were kind of perceived to be kind of feelers. That's what extroverted feeling implies. You could be a feeler or a thinker. You could be an introverted thinker, extroverted thinker, introverted feeler, extroverted feeler. I may start doing a series from scratch on this, but I really am trying right now, just trying to see what my priorities are and what I need to do now each day. And then take it everything a day at a time, and then a week at a time, and then months at a time, in that order. So immediate goals is daily. My midterm goals are weekly, and my long-term goals are measured monthly. So January, that's what I'm trying to set my long-term aims and what I need to do over the long run. I'm trying to set those aims early. So that's where I am rearranging things here, settling in my place, getting myself comfortable. And so I'm just starting to get comfortable with just talking. I'm not naturally a communicator. I'm more of an observer of feelings and other people's feelings and just feelings in general. Extroverted feeling means that I observe things. Doesn't mean I understand them necessarily, but I make note of things. There's a lot of things that doesn't add up to me, given my intuitive nature. And when the pieces don't fit, I don't just assume anything, because that's not intuitive. To ignore your intuition would not be wise intuitive choices. So I'm not inclined to ignore my intuition. I'm inclined to pay attention to things that I observe that doesn't add up. And so that kind of informs my larger view of how things work, how the world is, things like that. For example, I have this urology doctor, and there's just a lot of time I go to see him. There's just things doesn't fit, pieces don't fit. He's a good, competent doctor. I had a huge kidney stone he removed. He did an excellent job in this operation, but there's just a lot of things every time I have an appointment I go, I'm just not happy with something. Something just doesn't add up for me. So when I went to St. Joseph yesterday, I right away applied to go to get a new doctor. And that was opportune for me because it's close by. My doctor is in Puyallup, and I don't like to have to go to Puyallup for one thing, for appointments and checkups and things. And then I'm looking for a doctor where I feel I have better rapport. I can talk to and would talk to me about my health and my needs. Who would talk directly to me and not through the nurses and aides and others. So I found that I have that relationship with my heart doctor and my kidney doctor, but not been satisfied with my urology doctor. So now they're looking for a new doctor for me, and at St. Joseph's, which is only 6 minutes from here. So that's the benefit of when I checked into emergency, that I just went to the nearest hospital and just started to make the changes I really needed to make and felt compelled to do. So there's so the purpose, for the sake of our conversation here, of our video, there's two kinds of general personality types: sensors and intuitives. Okay, sensors and intuitives. It's lesson 1, if you want to break it down. The simple ideas. Are you naturally a sensor? Or are you naturally an intuitive personality type? Sensory people, they gather data, information, and then they make sense out of the given information. That's what a sensor does. So there's certain different ways of thinking. If you're a sensor, you're looking at the most likely outcomes, probability, possibility, and you're trying to base your decisions on what is the more likely prospect that's available to you at any time. You're not looking for patterns or things that don't add up, and you're not thinking in those terms at all. Now, all sensory people have an intuitive side. I want to add this to you. The purpose of what I'm describing, is a matter of finding the balance. In other words, if you're an intuitive personality type, it means you're dominantly intuitive. Doesn't mean you don't have sensory perception. Of course you do. Doesn't mean you can't make value judgments. Of course you can, based on given information. Of course you can. But you're not naturally inclined that way, so you have to train yourself. Make yourself think in different ways to be able to get a more balanced perspective and a more balanced understanding of your life. Same with sensors. Sensors have an intuitive side. My music teacher was a sensor. Many of my mentors were sensory type personality types. And in many ways, they're more intuitive than I was. But their intuition was something that's a skill on their part. They developed those parts of themselves, their personalities. So they found a balance, and within a balanced view of things, you have a lot more effectiveness, you see. So you can't be effective if you're just one thing or another. You have to learn how to use all different parts of your personality. That's why I call it enhanced personality performance. Is based on your ability to access your shadow functions. That's called in MBTI. Different parts of your personality you have to be able to access and utilize in order to bring about a greater perception or whole view of life. And so a sensor, if you're a sensor personality type, you're either dominant sensor, introverted, extroverted. Introverted sensor is called SI. Introverted extroverted sensors are called SE. Introverted intuitives are called NI. Extroverted intuitives are called NE, right? So you could be an extroverted intuitive personality type, dominant personality type, dominant introverted sensor, or extroverted sensor, introverted intuitive, extroverted intuitive. Now, the book I want to write is meant to be an introduction, a primer, but it's also like a workbook. In other words, you have to actually practice these things, like learning the piano. You have to learn the details first before you can compile them, and fit the picture together. If you don't know the difference, for example, an INFJ, INTJ are both NI DOMs, but they're different. They have different auxiliary functions. In other words, my supplemental function for my introverted intuition is extroverted feeling. The supplemental function for an INTJ is INTJs are dominant NIs, same profile as me. I call it your signature profile is your first two functions. So you start with learning what those are for each of the 16 personality types. Each has a unique signature, meaning the first two functions are unique to each type. So an INTJ is an extroverted thinker. Their extroverted thinker is their supplemental function. Their NI-DOM, extroverted thinking, is their tool function. So they're almost the same. I call them twins. INFJ and INTJs are like twins. They look identical on the surface. They seem to be similar. But then inside, they have different personalities, just like twins, real-life twins. They can look the same, appear the same to people, but they have definitely different mind on the world and how they think their thinking process is not the same. So INFJ, INTJ, see, so each type has its twin types, okay? And then there's introverted and extroverted. If your dominant function is introverted, then your tool function is going to be extroverted. And if you're extroverted, then your dominant function, you're going to have an introverted tool function. Now, I made myself study this stuff until I had expert knowledge, meaning I can talk more or less shop talk and understand this in technical terms. Because I have my own system is because there's things obviously in MBTI and traditional personality profiling that I don't like. I just think it's too much trying to be analytical and wasteful. It's just wasteful thinking. And what I'm interested in is just a way to target something to where I can improve my aim, right? And so missing the mark is not acceptable. You have to work on your aim, and as your aim improves, you find yourself more nearly able to achieve. And I think abundance is a form of practice that leads towards achievement, and achievement that creates fulfillment in your life. Because what fulfills you is what's going to serve you best, what's going to serve your needs. And those things I don't automatically know. That's why I believe in God. God knows what I need. God knows what's best for me. And as I get to see a larger view of the world, I begin to be able to explore these things for myself, what I need the most. Right now, I'm just, today's a planning day, so I'm making a journal of all my recent appointments and doctor's appointments so I can start to look forward from now it's about the middle of January, the middle of the month. I've been here since the 23rd when I first got home from the hospital of December. And now it's like I'm now planning from the end of January to the first half of February. So I'm this is where I have to take inventory. This is what I start with doing. Here in my apartment, I had taken inventory of all my possessions, and then I moved them out. So my apartment was completely empty. I had to move my stuff in storage with friends and people who helped me move my stuff out since I wasn't here to help. I was in a hospital. And so they moved my stuff out, and then a little at a time they started to help me bring my stuff back. But just enough stuff that I didn't just have, I was just overly crowded here before I went to the hospital. I just had too much junk and a lot of stuff that I didn't need. And so now I'm sorting all the stuff that I have stored, but I'm not going to bring it all back. I'll keep it in storage for now, or until I can decide what to do with it. I have a lot of books, tons and tons of music books. Maybe that's where I'll start. You know, if you want to buy some great music instruction books and books, I have a lot of books. Maybe I can sell you some of that stuff so you can get some of that stuff off my hands. Anyway, I'm just wanted to make update video here because I haven't really said anything for a while. I have a GoFundMe. If you can help me financially, I'd greatly appreciate it, because I'm just getting back on my feet. After 6 months in the hospital, I had to, pay my rent, but still be in a hospital environment, not able to earn and do the things I like to do. So now I'm back in business. If you're looking for lessons, my number is 427-970-2234 or 425-970-2234. Right? And text me, leave me a message. I'll get back to you. I like to put you in my contact list so that messages are not, I get a lot of spam calls, things like that, so I have to filter through my messages. But I'll get back to you right away, see what may help you, things like that. Or just donate to my GoFundMe thing. I'll have to look up my link here. I can share it with you. Or if you text me, I'll share you the link with you in a text. Okay, so I'm going to quit now. Half-hour video's enough. I just want to give you an update, see where I'm at. You can see I'm a lot healthier. If you've been following my videos, you can see I'm a lot better. I'm doing much better than I was when I was in the hospital with pneumonia and just really, 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 really sick, okay? So here's to your health, your wealth, and your abundance in your life. I love you. Goodbye, everyone. Bye-bye.